Greetings, blessings, and abundance to everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brujo 101. Why not start off with blessings and abundance, Thanya? ¿Por qué no? ¿Por qué chingados no? Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. I am your host, Martin Moreno, joined as always by Thanya, a.k.a. Ashe.
Hello. Hi.
Ashy. I'm kidding. You're not
It
Ashy.
makes it sound like my skin is dry.
No,
What is
not at
this?
all.
It's Ashe. Thank you.
Ashe. Ashe, not Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Bless you.
There, nice. You just fucking hook, line, and sinker me with that. And our guest today is my good friend, Armando Rey. Not only just a good friend, but a very talented actor. You're theatrical actor versus other actors. Does it all the same under the same umbrella? Because like you do theater, you do those inspirational chingaderas now. No, and I know I said that all were chingaderas, but no. Like I mean it all in a good way. You know, like what? It's like you're like a multi-faceted actor is what you are.
Thank you. Yes, I do it all.
Okay.
If I can work, I'm gonna do it. You know?
Oh, that's great.
But my strength is theater. That is
theater.
That's where I've worked the most is in theater, and it's where I feel the safest on a stage, and that's where I feel like nothing's gonna stop the show. You know, once it starts, and film and TV. I mean, I love it. I love it a lot, and but there is that. Cut. Okay, we're gonna start again, and so you know, so you have to hold emotions for a long time. And
where theater, it's more in the moment.
Theater is more in the moment, and so there are a lot of TV actors or movie actors that will not do stage because it's frightening for them, because on stage there's no room for mistakes, even though they do happen, but you have to be on top of it and be like, okay, this actor didn't say his line. Now you have to figure it out because
be quick on your feet, kind of.
Yes, and so that's frightening for a lot of actors, and they are like, no, I'd rather just be safe and wait. If I mess up on my line, I want to hear the cut, and that's it.
You do this, and it's your passion. You know, you're very fortunate to have found what your passion is. I think it's one of those things that very few people are lucky enough to do it. A lot of people spend their time trying to provide shelter for themselves and food on the table, that whatever they're passionate about has to take a back seat. Sometimes you're able to juggle, you know, a career and something different than what your passion is, but you still can follow it. And other people are not that fortunate. They're stuck on tengo que comer, güey, no voy a poder. When can I do that? You know.
Sí, exactly.
So I think people that do find their passion tend to live a very ¿cómo se dice? I hate to use the word, but I'm going to use it. Blessed life.
Hashtag blessed.
Yes, because it's really, you really are, if you're able to do what you love, you have the opportunity to do what you love, you're really blessed.
Yeah.
You know, you really, really are.
Yeah.
When did why am I going so much into English and Spanish today, Thanya? What happened? You put the spirit of Spanish in me? ¿Me hiciste wiki en español? What did you do?
Creo que sí, porque...
Yo creo que sí.
The inglés sin barreras brujería is kicking in.
The shit is real.
I don't know, pero tú dime.
Maybe it's because every time you and I talk, we
flip back and forth.
We flip back and forth, and
Yes.
even when we send text
Where are you
messages,
from? Where are you, where is your family from?
My family's from Mexico.
What part?
Nayarit.
Oh, I love Nayarit.
Yes,
Yeah.
arriba Nayarit.
Oh, arriba los coras.
Los Coras. See you next month. I say.
So you're all invited.
You're all invited. Yeah. So, but
that's why you're
here.
a good time. Because the people in Nayarit are very easygoing.
Yeah, very,
they're
you
very-
know.
Pero habla en el microphone. Porque
Sí.
there you go.
Like there's
Nice.
a lot of beach, so it's kind of like a party.
Very laid back. Ajá,
Yes.
todo es una fiesta, you know, and it's so hot there that...
We should have did this in Nayarit.
Nice.
That'd be
I've never been to
awesome.
Nayarit. I've never been.
Beautiful.
You know, I haven't traveled that much through Mexico as a whole. I've been to I've been to Jalisco, Sonora, Baja,
No, Mexico City, Guadalajara.
I've been to Guadalajara and Jalisco.
Okay.
So I've been to Michoacan.
Okay, I haven't been.
And Michoacan is beautiful, so green.
Beautiful.
Really?
Oh my
Yes,
God. Yes.
beautiful.
Jerry's from Michoacan. I just haven't
Really?
been there, yeah.
Michoacan, I'm missing something else. Guerrero.
Oh, like Acapulco, Guerrero
I've not
Negro,
been
and
to
stuff like that?
I've been to Acapulco, but I have been to Ixtapa, Cihuatanejo.
Cihuatanejo. I like it
Cihuatanejo.
there.
I've never been.
Oh, I love it
Beautiful.
Yeah.
there.
Ixtapa,
The Shawshank
Cihuatanejo.
Redemption.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But Nayarit, I always hear all these things about Nayarit.
Wasn't
and how-
Punta de Mita in Nayarit?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
love
it is,
Punta de Mita.
yes.
I love
Yeah.
Punta de Mita. It's like my favorite beach town to go to. I love Mexico, so I've done all of Mexico.
Is that right?
Yeah, and
Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
Punta de Mita. It's like my favorite. It's like a very, like everybody knows it because what's that guy's name? I don't know. Kim Kardashian always goes there to some guy's house, but it's a really quiet, like beach town, and it's not too touristy. And there's cenotes still, and there's like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful there.
Dude, I didn't know what a cenote was until a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, when
Have
I
you
went-
been to one yet?
In Cancun.
Okay, like a real one or a man-made one?
To be honest, I don't know if it was man.
So it wasn't.
Cancun, probably.
It
man.
wasn't the Xcaret. It was a man-made.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know the funny thing about cenotes, real quick, I want to tell you guys. When I went to Punta de Mita,
Yeah.
my mom is very adventurous, as you know, and we went to see some like ruins or whatever. And there was a guy outside. The first thing they tell you when you leave the hotel is don't pick up anybody. Don't do. You know, the first thing we do. Is,
The first thing
the
that.
first fucking thing. So it's
yeah.
my mom, Nick, and me. And this guy's like, hey, I could take you to a cenote that's like not popular, and I'm gonna take you into the bosque.
Oh,
And
shit.
it's virgin.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like this. I'm like, not a good idea. By that time, I was like, métete al carro, vámonos. So we go with him, of course. And we get to the cenote. He
Just
took me.
doing-
So cenotes, supposedly where the meteors would land, and they made fresh water springs, right? They're fresh water, I guess.
I guess.
Some or
yeah.
whatever.
Uh-huh.
So he took me to the cenote, and my son has been swimming. We have a pool. He's been swimming since he's 6 months. Like, he's fine. We went to the cenote. My son got in, and he jumped out, and he was like, I'm scared. And I was like, that is so weird. And I got in, and I got this panicky feeling, and I jumped
What?
out. And I'm like, I don't like it. My mom was fucking fine. I have pictures of her.
Oh my
So
God.
I started talking to the guy, you know, and I'm talking to him about brujos, of course. And we're talking, and I was like, oh, you know, my son really likes water. Yo no sé qué pasó. And he's like, I'm going to tell you something. This cenote,
Oh, shit.
all the cenotes were where ceremonies were done. And you can even do a sound bath in a cenote. So he was like, this particular cenote, they would sacrifice women and children.
Oh.
He's like, it's really funny that you jumped in and jumped out, and your son jumped in and jumped out. So they say that sometimes you pick up like the vibration.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, your mom's the only one that's in there still.
Oh my God, I got chills on
But it was
that,
to the
dude.
point, I'm not a chicken, really. I mean, come on, I kill chickens, but there was like,
wow.
I got so, yo también.
Yeah, sí,
Por
tú
si las
también,
malas.
por favor.
But I got so anxious that I was like, oh my God, my like heart's going to pop out of my chest. Like, I feel so anxious in here. But that was like my side story about Punta de Mita. So I found out that those cenotes are actually really sacred. And if you feel a certain way, they tell you to like respect it and get out of the water. But yeah, it was crazy.
It's all of Mexico. And I'm not saying that is folklore, but all of Mexico is full
Super
of
rich with
folklore.
folklore.
Just,
Super
just,
rich.
Which I think, you know, we've carried over, or our ancestors have carried over to wherever they've gone.
Yes.
So they brought it with them to the United States, obviously. And I think there's this Mexico's rich with the pagan traditions that are still very much alive in a lot of the small towns, mixed with the Catholicism.
Say it in Spanish.
With the Catholicism,
phonetically.
and it's this hybrid, you know, religion or faith or belief system where they're still very Catholic, but they still hold on to a lot of the ancient practices, specifically with like the healings and the curanderos and the curanderas.
Yeah, well, that's why
and
you
things
see like
that.
in la peregrinaciones when they walk the Virgenes, right?
Yeah.
Pilgrimage.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they always have like, it's the Virgen, and then it's like a banda, and then at the end, it's like the Aztec dancers. So it's all like the mix of like what they were, in the religion they were incorporated to, and then the original like
Where the true roots
the
of
true
who they
roots
are.
of what they believe, right? Because you go to all those when they like parade the Virgenes around. I've been at them, and it's like, oh, that's so crazy. Like they have all these like very Catholic. They're burning the big candles. I forgot what they're called. And then it's like the Aztec dancers, and they're dancing, and they're, you know, like Mexico. I've been fortunate enough to travel. I love Mexico. I feel like Mexico is just like, I miss Mexico. I want to go to Mexico this year. I couldn't go last year, but I love Mexico. Like it's so rich, right? Like
Yeah.
And I go to
really
Baja a
is.
lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
Oh,
I go
no,
to
it's
Baja,
okay.
but it's not.
it's not, but
it's not Mexico.
don't you feel like Baja's not Mexico
And
though?
it's not Mexico.
Like Baja's like Mexico's little cousin.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
I think it's just a different vibe, depending on where you go to, right? In parts of Mexico. But I think that in a lot of the smaller towns, like once you go deeper, and like you were talking about, Martin, like in the maybe the small villages and stuff like that, because where my parents live in Nayarit, they live in a small village, un ranchito.
What's it
And
called?
it's La Guasima. Saludos, La Guasima.
I'm like, you're right. I never heard of that place.
Consequently, we have a ton of listeners in La Guasima that listen to the Brujo 101
Hey!
podcast.
In
So saludos,
English.
hello.
Saludos,
to
La
La
Guasima.
and in English, they're very
Saludos.
advanced.
Ay, el cuarenteño, saludos.
They're probably your parents.
Yeah, but so when you're there, it's you do hear all these stories and traditions, and it is a mixture. It's a mixture. You know, they have their big belief, of course, in the Catholic religion and everything, but there's still everything else behind that, like la Santeria, brujeria, ponte esto, ponte aquello, put this on, put that on. You know, because it's so they still have that very big part of that. I mean, I don't know if that's a religion, but
I feel like I feel like Latinos in general, we're like super superstitious, don't you think?
Very
Yes.
superstitious.
Like very
Yes.
superstitious,
Very
like
superstitious.
everything has a meaning, like, you know, anything, you know, like my goddaughter brought my little baby goddaughter over yesterday, and I'm like touching her, no te quiero dar ojo, you know, like I don't
Oh
want
my God.
I get so anxious to hold her that I'm like, no te quiero dar ojo, let me touch you, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like after I did it, I was like, how fucking dumb is that? But will I not do it? No, I have to do it, because then I feel like something's gonna happen. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like for me as a kid, going to La Guasima, it was always that, you know, okay, I no le vayan a hacer, coming from my grandma. I used to go and stay at my grandma's house during the summer.
Okay.
And so it would be que no le vayan a hacer ojo, que no le vayan a hacer ojo. And
Did you even know what that meant?
I didn't know what that was. Like, what does that mean? Like, and you know, of course, the little kids would be like, no, pues que te van a hacer brujería y que no sé qué tanto. And on top of that, I would hear all these stories. So I would be like scared off my butt.
no me hagan
you know?
ojo.
Sí.
As a child, you know, I remember people would say, "Oh, Doña So and So does brujería," and you're like, "What the? Well, who did like?" And you just believe. It's almost like that the show El Chavo del Ocho, you know, where they had
Yes.
that old widow.
That's sad.
La
That
bruja
lady
del
was a
71.
bruja, but she was just a spinster.
She was just a spinster,
She was
but they
just a
call her La Bruja del
spinster.
71. And everybody in that community, in their head, believes that it's a freaking bruja. And so, like, as a kid, I remember they'd say, "Oh, Doña So-and-so is a bruja." And so my whole life, I thought, this lady's a fucking bruja. Whether she was or not is irrelevant. I gave her that
Title.
power and that title because they told me that she was, you know, or so and so does brujeria, or so and so does this, or so and so does that. Man, the things that my mom would do when I'd get sick, I remember she would boil banana peels, wrap them in these towels, and wrap those around my neck. It was like these banana peels
I've
on my
had that
neck.
done to my feet.
Okay. So it's
With
a
the
thing.
banana peels?
Yeah, like to bring down your fever, right? Like
Yes.
they put
No, this is a
banana-
Cuban. The Cubans would do this, I think. The Cuban neighbors would tell her to do this
So
stuff.
this was done to me by a holistic doctor from Mexico City. Told me that, like, my mom told me that she went to him and he said to put my feet in banana peels and put socks, and that would bring down my fever.
Dude.
And I guess it worked, right? Because I mean, aquí estoy.
People would
Bien
put
sanota.
potatoes. People would put potatoes on the soles of their feet.
People still do that.
Okay,
For the
people-
toxins, right?
So, dude, listen. There's so much. Talk about superstition. And I don't know how many of these might actually be natural cures. You know, like if you had like a stomach ache, they gave you yerba buena, right? Mint,
Okay.
mint
Yes,
tea.
yes.
If
Té
you
de
had
canela.
if you had an earache, you would get this. My mom would put this freaking ruda
Okay.
into my ear. Like, what the fuck was that about, dude? Like, you know, and
They put the cigarette in my ear to
the
take
cigarette,
out the air,
yes,
right?
the-
Did you ever
to
have
take
that
out the
done?
air.
Like,
What
with
the
the smoke
I
thing?
have with the
that's
smoke
not a
thing.
real thing. There is no air. What air is there in your
That's
ear?
not true because now Whole Foods sells the little cones that you light
But
them
that
up.
takes out the wax, honey.
No, but it takes out the air supposedly too.
It's wax.
It says air.
Okay. Well, listen.
If it's at Whole Foods, it's real.
Oh no, of course, of course.
I think we should buy some
And do it, right?
Let's
And
do
be
it
like,
right here.
what?
We'll do it live.
I
with
clean my
everyone.
ears, so I'm okay with it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's a lot of that stuff that sounds ridiculous, but how much of it works? That it really does work. That the plants and herbs have healing properties.
I mean, I think that some of it has to work, right? I mean, I
Sure.
think maybe now people get creative, like, oh, this. But think about it. Our ancestors, something worked for
Yeah,
them,
I think,
you know?
like, how long has the limpia with a huevo been around? Right? Like everywhere
Mm-hmm.
you go, every town you go to, los limpian con un huevo. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody who I talk to for the first time who messages me, they're like, "Do you do limpias with a huevo?"
Bro, when
Limpia
when I
me,
met
Martin,
you,
limpia
yes,
me.
that's what I said to her. I said, you guys do
Limpias?
you guys do limpias? And she goes, yeah, we do limpias. And I go,
Sorry.
hey, limpia me. And then she goes, well, you have to get a reading first. I'm not a reading, just limpia me, dude. You do limpias, just fucking do a limpia. Why I gotta get a reading? And she goes, okay, dude, anybody that tells you that they could do a limpia without doing a reading is probably robbing you. And I go, all right, well, let's do fucking reading then.
But he thought he was ordering at McDonald's. He's all, take a number 3 with the Coke.
I'll take the number 3 limpia with a little bit of
Imagine if I do that now. I'm like, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Super size, please.
But there has to be something to the egg, right? Because look at
100%.
the egg. So like the egg has very specific spiritual connotation in Santeria and very specific spiritual connotation in Buddhism. And the egg is the like symbolism of procreation, right? Because
Fertilize the egg.
right, fertilize the egg. So there has to be something with that egg, right?
Right.
The fact that every Hispanic and like non-Hispanic, I'm sure, Chikis, do they clean with eggs in Guatemala? Oh, well, no, you're a racist. Well, we'll find a Guatemala. We'll find
in
a Guatemala
Chiqui's village.
limpia lady. We'll find a Guatemala lady. No, but like, I feel like it's across every like
She's like,
Hispanic
no, they
thing,
clean with
right?
Fabuloso.
I want you to Google and find me the Guari version of the egg.
The
But-
guari huevo.
but in Cuba, because the eggs are so expensive, this is not a joke. They
Oh,
will
no.
not clean you with an egg, but they will have you do things with an egg, right? So, like, I feel like that has to come from somewhere. Right, there you
Oh,
go.
see.
Google says sí.
So yeah, they do. I know that they do like these herbs and the huevo is the shit that you saw on television, and you grew up thinking like this and this. Now, my mother went and did a thing with huevo with Santa Clara, where
Claradora.
so she would do this thing with she'd have this little altar looking thing, I guess, or some kind of thing. And these are memories that come later. Like I'd forgotten about this. I was so little when this was going on, but I remember there was this little mantle, right? And there she had, her San Francisco, her San Juan, all the santos that she had. But she would also put right there a glass,
And an egg white.
a clear glass with water and an egg white.
Because he wanted them to clear up a situation. That's
See, I had no idea what it was, but it was the huevo for Santa Clara. And I remember me and my sister were just little. We'd be like, "The fuck is this lady doing?" Like it was so weird. It was so weird. Like in retrospect now, I'm like, this lady was doing as Catholic as my mother was. That would be considered quote unquote brujeria.
well, that same thing, that exact same thing with the clara del huevo is also done in Santeria. It's done in la mesa blanca, which is like spiritualism. It's done in Venezuelan spiritualism. They all use the clara del huevo. So, but then like I feel like people who are very Catholicism is based in superstition, and isn't superstition kind of based in brujeria? Like you're like going on Ash Wednesday so they can mark you, right? with the ashes. In Santeria, ashes are used for a certain kind of thing too. We use ashes very rarely, but we use them. In Palo Mayombe, another sect, it's the ashes are used. So it's like I feel like everything's like a big circle, and then humans got involved, right? Like, and then it became like an easy way to like manipulate the masses when it was organized and stuff like that.
A little from here, a little from
Yeah,
there.
like
Yeah.
and to put fear in people, right? So then you weren't using the ashes as a protection as much as you were like to show that you were part of this group, right? Because come on, Ash Wednesday, you see the people with the ash, you're like, "This is mi gente," right?
Yeah.
And you see people without the ash, you're like, "She's a hoe, ni fue." Pero like,
Y ya comió carne.
y ya comió carne. So it's like I feel like all of that is based it's all based in spiritualism, right? Like you cannot believe in the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It's in the fucking name, right?
Nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo.
So then I think that we get so divided because humans, we always think we're the only answer, right? Well, Santeria is the only answer. It's not the only answer. I'm a Santera. I'm a Daya Santera. This is the religion that works for me. But it might not be the religion that works for him. And he should find what works for him. So I think what happens is when you try to push it, it's like that's where you get the indoctrination. And,
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm not a fan, as you know, of organized religion and all the rules that come with it. You know, now I am, and I've said it again. I repeat. I sound like a broken record, but I am a fan of spiritual evolution and spirituality, and growth, spiritual growth, and feeding your spirit. I do believe that is a thing, and I'm, you know, the more I meditate, the more I read, the more I seek out, the more it comes to me and the more enlightened I feel, you know? And maybe I'm just freaking convincing myself that I am, but that's half the fucking battle. If you don't believe it, then it's not true. It's like I look in the mirror and I say, mira qué bonito estoy. And I know. And that whole day, I'm a pretty motherfucker. And so...
That's what he told us today, right?
Yeah.
Está bien buenote.
Right away.
There you
Está bien
go.
buenote.
Así
Sí,
mismo.
pues ya vimos.
So now,
Confirmed.
Armando, you, when you would go back to the village out there, when did you start your first experiences with? I mean, obviously the religion was probably there at birth, the Catholicism, or I don't know. I'm gonna assume that you were baptized in La Iglesia Católica.
I was.
And
yes.
and then at what point? I don't know. Are you still Catholic? Are you a practicing Catholic?
I'm not. And here's what's interesting, because even though I was baptized, I think it's more because, you know, that's the tradition. That's what
Traditional.
Because you
you're
had no
supposed to
say.
do.
They brought you and they took you.
But I think after when I was baptized as a baby, my parents didn't bring me back to a church ever. Like,
Oh, wow.
Just for weddings and baptisms of other
weddings,
people.
uh-huh.
No primera comunión, no first communion.
I did, but it wasn't because it wasn't because my parents made me do it. It was because in that neighborhood where I lived, there was a lady from the church that would come and do
The classes, the
las
catechism classes. Okay.
ándale, uh-huh. And so then I was one of the kids in the neighborhood. So that's, you know, we would go every Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was. And it's like, okay, se van a preparar para su primera comunión and blah, blah, blah. And that's really the only reason why I did that, because it wouldn't have come from my parents. Because I think after the baptism, it was like, okay, ya hicimos lo que teníamos que hacer. Yeah.
Let's keep it moving.
But here's what's interesting for me is that, you know, I don't come from a very traditional Mexican family where, you know, we go to church every Sunday. We do. My mom, I mean, I have more memories of my mom taking me to Santeria or Curanderas and stuff like that than going to church.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, that wasn't very traditional.
No.
And
or I you know, and not to overstep here, but it was probably more traditional than what the colonizers had brought.
Dang, the colonizer.
yeah. Yeah, and so when I would go and stay with my grandma, who was the sweetest lady ever, but she also wasn't about let's go to church on Sunday. You know, she would pray and all that, but
Had her own spirituality.
had
right?
her own. And another thing is that I noticed with my grandma is that she was sobadora.
Your grandmother.
Oh,
My
Okay.
grandmother was, yeah. So, that's a healer in
For sure.
And so I just remember people would come and they would be like, Doña Balta, me puede sobar, o voy a traer mi hijo que lo soben, or whatever, and she would.
Would she take off empaches and stuff? Like if the kids was empachado and push up
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That's
So
exactly
she was a curandera.
But he doesn't believe in the empacho story. Or
No.
wait,
There's-
he doesn't believe in the
Mollera.
Mollera.
The
Oh,
fontanelle.
yeah. Oh my God. That's exactly
Dude,
that.
come on, man. Just sticking your fingers in those poor kids' mouth and paladeándolos.
Oh my God,
that's
that's
the
funny.
worst.
No, well, I don't know if she did that, but lo sobaba. And
I
then-
totally believe in that too. But
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, now
Your fontanelle fall. Let me
Yeah.
put my fingers in your mouth and fucking let me unfuck you here.
oh my God.
Imagine you're talking so much shit and in 4 years vas a estar curando pinches molleras.
No.
Oh,
If I ever start asking people to
don't do it,
cure
Martin.
molleras,
Don't do it, Martin.
do not
Don't
let
do
me
it.
bamboozle you into un mollera in you.
We'll see you in
Or
4
if he
years.
comes and asks you que le suban la mollera.
Ya no eres baby. No empieces.
It
Yeah,
happens
it's
to
enough,
babies
yeah.
only,
It's
infants,
only
right?
babies, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
until
yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
year old.
Yeah, don't let them have diarrhea because, the fucking mollera fell. Let's go to Doña Cuca.
Yeah.
Really? I thought if
yeah.
they cried a lot, their mollera
Well,
fell.
Oh, I don't know.
no matter
Everything,
what,
they're
everything.
fucking
It's the
mollera.
fucking
Yeah,
mollera.
everything. No, porque se le cae la mollera. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. But
It's a fontanelle, the
It's
soft
the
spot.
the soft spot, right?
You know the medical name, right?
Isn't it fontanelle?
I don't know.
Am I making that up?
Chiki, what is the mollera?
Check out
Honey, can
soft
you,
spot
Soft spot
medical
on your brain, on your
soft
chin.
spot medical term on your
So she would
skull.
do the empaches.
I think it's
She would
called
do the
the fontanelle.
empaches, and then she had this powder that she would give them afterward. It wasn't white powder.
Oh, was it blue?
No, it was. I think it was orange.
Oh.
Yeah, it was orange, and then she would just like do this thing and give it to them, and that was it, and send them in their way.
So she was a curandera, not just a sobadora.
Yeah, because if you're ingesting,
that was my question.
If you're ingesting things, I feel like that's a
Fontanelle.
fontanelle. Is he right?
Wow.
I want to tell you
No,
something.
es que Martín me impresiona.
No, on a side note.
No, sí, no, la verdad.
On a side note, I want to tell you something. I've met a lot of people with doctorates and masters, like in my life. I have people in my life that Martin knows so much shit
He does.
that I swear to you, Martin makes me read. Just so that I can keep up with him. I'm literally Chiki's reading during the fucking week.
Oh my
I'm like,
god.
Martin's gonna ask me about this shit, and I'm just
Right?
gonna fucking
Yeah,
research this shit
exactly.
right now.
Yes,
That is
I
so
totally
fucking-
yes.
Like the fact that you worked at the hospital, like maybe helped a little, but you retain a lot of things, right? You retain a lot of things.
I don't know. I smoke a lot of weed and
You do
and I
smoke a lot
remember
of weed,
shit.
but you remember a lot of shit. But then it could also be a spirit guide.
It could be a spirit guide.
Right?
You know what's
Yeah.
funny? I forgot who the hell said you're the only motherfucker that I go read after I. I have to look up words after I talk to you.
No, I don't have to look up the words, but I do have to like keep in touch and keep educating myself because I feel like one day Martin's gonna be like, "Really, Thanya?" And I'm like, "I know, I read it. I fucking read it."
So your grandmother is
She sounds like a
this
curandera.
she sounds like a curandera.
I've asked that. I said, so was my grandma a curandera? And be like, no, ella nomás sobaba. But I'm
You're like, I saw the orange tang stuff, something's going
no,
on.
I saw more than that. Like, I know it was like, what is that stuff that she's giving? So, yeah. So I don't know.
So she's a healer. I mean, and look,
Yeah,
a
she's
lot
definitely a healer.
and a lot of times people go to the village, the healer. You know, I mean, all the tribes, that's what they had. I mean, even the Native Americans, they had the medicine man. Some people,
Even the Greeks.
The Greeks, yeah. Now, once and I hate this stuff, the conquerors came, the colonizers, they changed the term from medicine man to witch doctor and made it seem so taboo. Like, you don't want to go to the witch doctor. You come to the scientific,
they
the
like-
science, And it was literally to throw the word witch in front of anything, and it makes you do the sign of the cross. It makes you don't want to nothing with the fucking brujas, because they'll put a spell on you. They'll put a spell on
I'm
you.
offended.
You got this is
kind of
what
shit is
people
this?
said. No, this is what people said about.
like, I'm leaving.
Listen, I love your people, but this
Thank
is
you.
what has been
We
said
love you
about
too.
you guys. I'm defending you, Thanya.
Thank you.
And so again, you put the word witch in front of anything, and it's scary as fuck.
Plus,
Esa
they
señora es
did it too to
bruja.
make you seem ignorant, right? Like,
Of course.
you weren't going to Western medicine, so you're ignorant. Like, if you You know, think about it now. Like all these people who are holistic and sound baths.
Those are brujos.
And meditation. And you're going to Whole Foods and you're eating fucking jicama straight without the water. And you're doing all this shit. It's things that our ancestors and even in your own family, your mother has tried to get you to do. But it was esos de rancho, esos de gente ignorante. But really, those gente who were so connected to the land and to what they grew and to what they could do with their hands. But we were taught that if it wasn't like a bata blanca, like a Western doctor, right? Bata blanca is a Santeria term. But a Western doctor, that you were wrong. Like you were so ignorant. Like how could you go to this guy and he's going to give you these, or your grandma, she's going to give you this orange stuff and you're not going to take fucking 27 Tylenols. But the orange stuff would probably work better than the fucking 27 Tylenols.
Right.
And how many people were coming to this woman, Armando?
I always saw people. I mean,
Wow.
she was known in the town as
The healer.
La sobadora. Sí, estaba empachado, like you said, or whatever. It was like,
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
So that's in your DNA.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. I think. I mean, I don't practice. You know, like I don't.
Santeria. I
No,
don't
no,
have
like
a
you know, like I'm
crystal
not
ball.
gonna say, "A ver, déjame te sobo." I mean, I have, but that's another show.
That's another rubbing.
That's my grinder hashtag.
That's when we do the grinder episode.
Inbox us.
But oh my God, it's just that there's so much.
But don't you think that, like, okay, so you're a theater actor, and then before we started, he was saying that Martin met you because you did a one-man show, and it affected him, right? So don't you think, I've always thought this, not just now, but I always think that people who are in the arts, like artists, I think I think actors are artists, comedians are artists, people who paint and do different media are artists. And I always feel like those people are so much more connected spiritually. And I think it partially has to do with the fact that at the core, your life is so different than people who are like in the banking industry. And, you know, I feel like the creative energy and the way your mind works is different. That's my belief. And I feel that those people are open more to spiritualism. Like whenever I've met somebody who's in like banking, regular Western medicine, things like that, they're always very analytical. And I feel like when you're very analytical, Martin and I have talked about this, you kind of get in your own way. Because if you're constantly trying to find the root of pie, like spiritualism is not in the root of pie. It's something that it's not tangible that way, right? So then maybe that whole thing with your grandma, like you're an actor and you like to do one-man shows, and then the one-man show he was talking about that he met you with, like maybe that's your way of trying to like help people, right?
Yeah, it could be, and that's always my goal is, you know, like the projects that I do, and whether it's comedy, drama, everything, I feel like there's always a truth to
And a
what's
healing.
going on. Yeah, and so I always want to be able to speak that truth through my art.
Okay.
And if it helps people, I think that's great. Like I think the one man show spoke a lot of truth of gay Latinos, and for sure, if there was somebody watching the show, would be like, oh, I could relate to that. And it touched so many subjects that it's not that you had to be gay. It's not that you have to be Latino. It's not. There was so much going on.
It's just if you're having a human experience.
Exactly.
And you're conveying that human experience regardless of your, you know, sexuality or your spirituality or your denomination or ethnicity. I think that human experience transcends all of that, and there's that similarity that we all experience with the struggles of just life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, touching on that subject, I think that maybe because of all that, I am more because of the arts, because whatever the DNA, like you mentioned, I think that I am sensitive to certain energies and I feel things. Again, not that I title myself like, oh, I can tell you the future. I can do.
You're not going to cure the empacho right now.
No, no, el empacho no se va a hacer.
Were you close to your grandmother?
Very close. Okay. Very close to my grandmother. And I just feel like I'm sensitive to a lot of things. I'm sensitive to feeling a presence. I'm sensitive, about just different things.
Do you ever meet somebody and you're like, I don't like this person, but you don't know them?
Yes.
Oh my God, that happens to me too.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's
haters.
the weirdest. Like no judging, no.
No judging, no,
No
nothing.
bullying,
We're
no
But you
spiritual.
hate everybody too.
We're so
No.
spiritual. We're so connected. You ever meet somebody and hate them? Fuck yeah, all the time.
That has to happen to you too, Martin.
Of
You
course.
have to meet
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah, you
and
do.
you're not that you hate them,
Right.
but you're like, I'm not gonna invest in this
You
relationship.
feel it
I just
defensive.
don't want to
You-
do this.
Something inside of you says, be careful.
Yeah.
Right. There's just something, and it's not because they do anything or nothing, or that they look at you a certain way or whatever. It's just that initial moment where I just feel like there's something about this person that it's
Not gonna vibe with
not,
me.
and I'm respectful and everything, but I know, like, okay, I've got to set limits. I've got to set limits here because something's going on.
I feel like people who have a sixth sense, even if it's not developed, right? Any kind of like any of the clairs, clairvoyant, clairaudient, right? There's different clairs. You hear things, you see things, you feel things, you know things. I feel anybody who has that, there's going to be people who you meet and you're like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't. And I get that even with people who we read sometimes. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't know. Like something is not connecting, I guess. And then sooner or later I'll find out why. But they can be the people who are like trying to be the nicest to you. They could be like super trying to be your friend. And you're like, I just don't.
There's just
I
something.
just don't want to.
Yeah.
Did your grandmother work on you?
Me sobó varias veces.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, she did. Like, you go to Mexico, you eat something, or you're just not feeling good, or if you have a fever. If I got sick, had a fever, ella me sobaba. And that woman, let me tell you something. She had been in an accident way before, but her hands, her hands were like, las tenía como
She had
chuecas.
okay,
pues,
so
ajá.
they were
Yeah,
Inverted?
like this was out this
Like the
way.
muñeca?
Ajá, la muñeca.
Which is this part?
so
Right.
she had deformities.
But man, that woman had strength in those hands, and she would just like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm a Balta, yeah, please.
That's funny.
Cállese.
She's all, take it. No.
Yeah.
No. I said, did she work on you? Did she?
Oh,
And now, at what point did you start? Did you ever get a limpia and things like that?
I did get limpias, and that started more for me like as I got older.
Not as a kid.
Yes, as a kid. This is not my mom.
You're hitting all his core memories. He's like, I was 7.
This is my mother, La Reina.
That's funny.
She, so like I said, the memories that I have of whatever, if you religion or if you want whatever you want to call it, was that going to curanderas and things like that. And I remember one time laying on this table, and there's this lady dressed in white and performing surgery on me.
Get out. You went to one of those people?
I
interested in
didn't go on
this.
my own. My mom
I don't even know
took
what
me
he's
there.
talking about. How old were you here at this point?
I was probably like 6, 7 years old.
Oh my
And
God.
I remember.
You were a baby.
I was, and I
Wow.
remember like
Now you did surgery in quotes, so I'm guessing it was.
It's a spiritual surgery. Have you
Yeah,
seen
'cause
this?
it's-
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so interested in this. Okay.
Yeah, so I remember laying there, and the lady had her eyes closed, and then she tells my mom, "Este niño tiene lombrices," and then she just started like doing this thing with her
Tapeworms.
eyes. Oh yeah.
For the Spanish impaired. that are
Not
listening.
anymore. I had surgery for that.
It was spiritual and it was
It was
good.
spiritual,
Oh,
but let me
my.
tell you, it worked. And so this lady, she's just like, and she was making these sounds, and I was just looking up like
Oh,
this
that
at
has
her.
to be kind of scary, right?
It was
You're
kind of
little,
scary. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie, because here's this lady,
Wow.
and you hear surgery and stuff.
Did she
and
do it
then,
by your belly button to get it out?
yeah, she was like
Oh,
right
it was by
underneath
the
it.
belly
Yeah,
button.
and she was like this, and then she really.
Pulled
Here, I'm
out
gonna stand up.
something.
No, and then she really was going like this, like she was tying the.
The stitches.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good.
And
I brought you guys little gifts, and it was just like.
I've seen that. And then they like pull something out, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
and
you have to Google
Stop.
this. I've seen this.
Okay.
This.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go, Chiki.
but,
It's you and me.
Chickies,
Spiritual
please,
surgery.
Google.
Do they do that in Guatemala, Chiki?
Go to Guatemala.
All right, Chiki's fucking Cuba. Look for one for
They
Cuba.
pull out pupusas.
No, los míos
That's
eran puros
Salvador.
tamales.
We hold babies upside down. Oh, for the mollera, we hold babies upside down. Oh, yeah, I've seen that too.
Oh my God.
But
You've never seen a spiritual surgery?
No.
So they it looks like they're kneading your skin almost. It's always by the belly button because they say that's where it's easier to extract.
I remember.
And they pull things, in quotations, out of you, and they stitch you up. And there's some people who they show blood. So there was I'll send you a documentary. So there was this whole documentary saying that they have blood in their hands and that's how they do it. But there's a town called Todos Santos. I don't know where it is. If somebody knows, it's in Mexico. It might
Is
be
it in Baja?
Yeah, Todos Santos.
uh-huh.
My mom went to Brujos Blancos 30 years ago.
White brujos? That sounds so racist.
Well, you know,
I'm like, are you sure they were? I mean, did they have no.
you know my green-eyed mom, Eugenia, con tu racismo. She went to these because they did spiritual surgeries. And she went with a friend who wanted to get one. And I was like, what'd you think, Mom? She's like, look, I don't know how legit it is. I'm not one to say anything. She's like, but they did something because she felt better. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's so crazy. And you don't have tapeworms anymore.
And I don't have, no, I don't.
You're all cured.
I'm cured.
So they took you at 6 years old. You're laying there. There's this woman dressed in white.
In a trance.
Probably.
Yeah, she was in a trance
And
because
she's
she's like
making
this.
these
and she's
noises,
like,
you said.
Yeah, she's making all these noises like this stuff. And and I'm just my mom was with me. So, but yeah. So, and that wasn't the only time that we would go to ceremonies like this.
So this was a recurring.
Yeah. I mean, we'd go. This all, of course, was in Mexico when we would be over there, and
Some people vacation, his family went for brujeria.
Yeah.
They're like, let's go.
But they probably didn't call it brujeria, right? It was,
no, they didn't call it brujeria. It was con curandero, curandera. So for me, there wasn't a connection between those words.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was like, oh, this is somebody that
gonna
has
make me
special powers that's gonna heal
Help
me.
me.
And I would, and so because of that, I just as I kept growing up and everything, then I would be like, oh, I think I need a limpia, because I just felt that I already felt that I was sensitive to things or baggage.
You're
or-
Martin's people. Limpia me. Limpia me right now.
So now so now this is as a child that you have no say in it. They're taking you to
Right,
this. At what point do you yourself say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go seek this out myself"?
When I was a teenager.
Oh,
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was already struggling with certain things in my life, and I needed guidance. I needed direction and something. My parents had moved back to Mexico, so there was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with and face on my own. And so, to me, that's what it was. It's like, oh, voy a ir que me echen la carta, to do a reading, or I think I need a limpia. And I would drive to Mexico. I would drive to Ensenada.
Wow.
Yeah, because my mom knew a lady in Ensenada. And so that's who I would go with for this stuff. And then she would prepare little things for me and stuff that I would bring back home. And
what do you mean, little things?
Share with us. No. Let us know.
Well, it's episode 6 in Narcos. I say no. No.
Me mandaba con unos paquetitos.
Sí, unos paquetitos. Y
Share with
I would
us.
have to swallow them. And then, oh my gosh.
That's not what I meant, guys.
No,
But
okay. No, pero no, it was like she would give me these little red bags, and I don't know what she would stuff in them, but she would tell me, no lo abras, don't open it, and just carry that with you, put it in your pocket here by your heart. If you weren't here, I would be
I have
wearing
one.
it here.
I have a little gray bag in my bag right now.
See? Yeah. So that and that's what it was. And I would do it, and I would feel good.
Interesting.
Until the next time where I was like, okay, I gotta go back.
You're like maintenance.
I know.
That's fascinating to me. And now, do you think this stems from that being introduced into your life at a young age, that then when you got older, you seeked it yourself? Or do you think it's something you would have seeked out regardless?
I think because I was introduced to that, I somehow, when I feel that heaviness, it's like I naturally already know what I need. You know, like my body already, or my spirit or whatever already knows, like, okay, there's a lot going on. You need to go and do a limpia. And now I don't know if it's because I became very sensitive because I already knew about that. That if I hadn't had that experience as a kid, I'd probably be like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I need, and end up going, you know, to whatever, taking a lot of medication. I don't know.
Or whatever, yeah.
Whatever,
like,
yeah,
to
yeah.
ease your-
Which, you
to
know,
ease
if it works
whatever
for
you
people, that's
feel.
great.
Yeah.
Pero para mí, I was fortunate enough that to know what I needed to do. And it was that. It's you do a limpia.
limpia.
And now as an adult, do you continue to do limpias and things?
I do periodically. I still do.
Is the lady still alive in Ensenada?
I would guess not, because she was pretty old.
Was she?
She was, yeah, she was pretty old, and I'm telling you, that lady was fascinating. And so I would be very surprised if
She was
she's-
already older.
Yeah, porque yo creo tenía como, I don't know, I want to say she was probably about 90.
No.
Oh my
way.
And I'm
God.
talking about, this
What,
is...
this is in the what? 90s, 80s?
Yeah, like 90.
Oh, she'd be like 100 and something.
93,
Yeah, no.
What?
She's still alive. She messages us. Don't be fucking killing me.
I know.
Aquí estoy.
I just
I'm
got a
like,
text. I'm like, oh.
It's the lady.
Doña Nachita.
Doña Nachita. Oh my God.
These fucking names are great.
I know, right? But, you know, but since we're on the topic and stuff, I do want to mention, like, one time I was going to go get a limpia. This is already as an adult. And this was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was there.
You just travel for limpias.
And I go.
Within the county line is not good enough for you. You
Yeah,
can travel
exactly.
for this.
And
Albuquerque is full of a lot of magic, by the way.
it is.
Yes.
It is. And I can feel it when I'm there. And
Yeah.
it just-
Are you guys being serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are kind of like, come on, guys.
No, but so I was having that heaviness, you know, and okay, so I go there and I want to get a limpia, and I set it up for the next morning, right? And I'm staying at my sister's house.
Okay. How did you find this lady? Just backstory. Through your family?
Through the family.
Oh, your whole family's into this. Okay.
yeah,
They got
yeah,
like
yeah.
the limpia lady on
Oh no!
back
Yeah,
up right here.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. They all are.
Okay.
And,
Found her on Yelp.
yeah.
He's like, I Googled. I'm like,
Had
okay.
5 stars.
Yes. And
I'm gonna have people Yelp me now. Okay.
and the weirdest thing started happening the night before.
That you're gonna go to the limpia.
I'm going to the limpia the next morning.
Okay.
So you're already in New Mexico.
I'm already in New Mexico.
Okay.
I'm staying at my sister's house. The night before, it was like crazy. It was like there was this force that didn't want me to go get a limpia the next day.
Okay. That could happen. I believe it.
I don't know what it was.
Hold on. Let me just interrupt right now. Could that thing that doesn't want you to go, it could either be something that's trying to protect you from some harm that's coming if you go to this place, or it could be something that's trying to stop you from getting rid of this negativity that you had. And how do you discern between the two? My question is.
Who's this question?
For you.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna throw the coconut Martin.
No, do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I know what you're asking. So I feel like this. Like I feel like, okay, so we don't do limpias the way that you're used to doing limpias. Like you just show up and they limpia you with whatever. That's not how we do it. We do a reading to specifically see what's going on with your auric energy. We throw the shells. We're santeros. We throw shells. And then depending on the sign that you get, we know what to limpia, what your to limpia you with. I sound like you. What your limpia consists of, if it's a limpia at all.
Okay.
But let's say that I consult you. You need a limpia. We're going to see each other on Saturday. You're coming to my house, you get lost. You've been there before. You're coming to my house, you get a flat tire. You're coming to my house, you get pulled over. That is something trying to stop you from coming to my house. That thing that's trying to stop you is negative. If you are getting red with me and we are asking what the limpia will consist of, flowers, this, that, whatever, and we keep getting a sign that it won't close. Like, that's not the limpia. That's something like a spirit that's trying to communicate with you that I have to connect with to figure out what that spirit wants. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
how we discern it.
Okay, so now this thing that you felt that you think in your head you're interpreting as this I feel this force stopping me from what I'm trying to do.
That's how I felt, and it felt that it was something negative.
Trying to stop you from getting help.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's what it was. I don't know what it was. All I know is that what happened that night was not
Normal.
It was not normal, and it was not a good feeling. And it was something that other people in the house also heard.
Okay, you heard. It wasn't like, oh, I feel something.
It manifested into like you heard it.
Wait. Okay.
Did you make it to the limpia?
I did make it to the limpia the next day.
Okay, and then after the limpia,
I was like this.
oh, then that's a good limpia.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. Like, if you're sleepy, even after a baño espiritual, you feel very calm, or a limpia, you feel very sleepy. It hit where it's supposed to hit.
I was
Either very energetic or very sleepy. Nothing in the middle.
No, I was drained. I was just like, I felt exhausted after that. Here's what's interesting. So the next morning when I'm at the limpia, we do the whole thing and everything. And then the person that did the limpia tells me that there was something weird happening. There was this loud noise happening
At their house.
Get out. where she does the limpias. But I hadn't told her anything about what had happened to us.
That sounds like you picked up something that didn't walk with you and you had to get rid of it. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you went somewhere before the limpia, before all this happened, and you picked up an entity or an energy that did not belong with you, and the limpia helped you separate it, and that's why you would feel better. But it sounds like you picked up something that's not yours, because we're born with a guardian, like a ángel guardián, like a spirit that guides you. And if you don't attend that spirit, some people will confuse that spirit with being an obsessor, which is a negative entity. But sometimes it's not an obsessor. It's a spirit that just wants attention. So you have to know how to discern it. But if you felt like that and she had that's definitely something that was not yours and that they had to get rid of. My humble bruja opinion.
What did you feel that night? You felt something and you said
What'd
you
you
heard
hear?
something. Yeah, what did you hear?
So we heard, this was at night. I was with my family, and everybody went to bed. I was in the living room with my niece, and she's like, Tio, I'm gonna go to bed. She's like, this is how you turn off the TV. I said, don't worry about it, turn it off. I'm just gonna check my emails on my phone, and I'm going to bed.
my grinder.
I know. Let me see who's around. I'm like, how do I lock the door? Like, if I have to go out to my car, like I say,
So how do I put the location?
Oh my God.
no. And so then, so she goes to bed, and I'm, there on Grindr. And
So Armando, who lives there? It's your sister?
it's my sister, her husband, one of her daughters, because the other kids had already moved out. They're on their own and everything. And then I had a friend that was there with me.
Okay.
Everybody went to bed, and I'm in the living room, and I want to get a good night's sleep because tomorrow is a big early morning for this limpia. So I'm sitting there, and then I hear like this, ¿cómo se dice? Como un quejido? Like
Like a moaning?
a moan.
A groan?
But it sounded like somebody was in pain. It just sounded like, oh, like that at first. And I was like, I thought it was my niece trying to scare me. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And I'm just like laying there, and then it's like, oh,
Get out.
like,
that fucking loud?
Get out.
Así de loud. Spanglish. And then
Así mismo.
así de loud. And then so then I was like, I sat up, and then I hear like this rattling, like somebody's trying to open the door.
I would have been gone. Gone at
My
this point.
niece, it's coming from the hallway, right? My niece comes out of the hallway, and she's like, Tio, are you okay?
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, yeah. So it's apparent that she heard it,
Sure.
right? So I told her, I said, yeah, no, are you okay? I said,
Yeah.
it sounded like, you know, and then she's like, no, it's coming from the living room. Meanwhile, we hear it, and we hear like somebody's
Like
trying to
moving
open
the
the
knob
door.
or something. Uh-huh.
And my sister is inside of her bedroom, and she's trying to open the door, and somebody's holding or
Oh,
something.
stop it.
Get the hell out of here.
And my sister is like, let go of the door. She thought we were trying to
like
open.
playing with her, like holding her back. Yeah.
No, she already thought that something was going on, that somebody got hurt because she heard it. So then my friend comes out and he's like, what was that? So everybody in the house heard it. And we all heard it coming from each other's direction. Like they heard it coming from the living room. I heard it coming from the...
It's really hard to have a joint apparition like that. Like that takes a lot of energy.
I
Look
don't
at Martin. Martin's like, I'm not going to your sister's
oh my
house
God,
ever."
I can see that. I can see that.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to your sister's house.
Well, she doesn't live there anymore.
Amen.
But, pero it was just really... It was just
Are
really
you
weird.
the only one who got a limpia?
Yes, I am the only one.
Oh, hell no. I would have been right behind her. Yo también, señora. Con lo que
Dos
quiera.
por uno, sí,
Con
señora.
lo que quiera. Yeah, I brought my
Oh,
own.
my goodness.
I brought my own chicken. Ándele.
Now,
Hacer
when you
algo.
get there and she's telling you that they were hearing, were they hearing groans as well?
She didn't tell me they heard that, but they heard like there was just a lot of stuff falling from the kitchen area. And so when they got up,
It
was,
takes so much energy for spirits to move things. Like, I don't think people understand how much energy it takes for something that doesn't have a body to move something. Like,
Satarakata shanda.
it takes a lot of energy, right?
When you said the kitchen and the trastes, where my grandmother, the pueblo that my grandmother was from, La Misa Sonora, it's an old town, old mining town, and the military used to go through there, right? When there was a cuartel there, and there was a hotel. My grandmother owned the restaurant. She owned a hotel. The hotel, they later lived there. My grandmother's brother lived there with his family. And they say that at night, because so many people, military people, miners, people that were very transient would pass through and stayed there. There was a lot of different energy in that hotel, and that they would hear literally. Everybody would wake up in the middle of the night because the fucking trastes seemed like they were being smashed into the fucking ground. They would come out. There was no trastes smashed. Everything was right where they left it. But they all heard it to the point where they'd all get up
To go see what happened.
To go see what happened. And I remember hearing these stories. So right now, when you said that about the trastes, the dishes, I got a ton of chills because I always thought these motherfuckers are crazy, But But it's almost like what you did right now. You validated everything that I had heard as a kid and dismissed later to skepticism.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was...
He's all, really happened. It was my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was because I wasn't the only one that heard it. Everybody else heard it. And so that's why it's like I can, like, I talk about it and stuff, and it's because it's like, listen, other people heard it. I'm not just saying this like just to say it. If you talk to them, they're going to tell you the same story.
So my husband's an atheist. Well, he's agnostic. He doesn't believe in anything really. Well, he's starting to now. A fuerzas.
So he believes in me.
He believes in me and what I do. So no, well, we went to Ireland for our honeymoon, right? And I think I told Martin we stayed at this hotel. And as soon as we drove up to the hotel, I was like, something's fucking weird about this hotel. So anyway, long story short, in the middle of the night when we came back from drinking, we heard kids running up and down. Did I tell you? At like 3 a.m. And I remember, such a dick, I was like, these fucking people let their kids run up and down this hallway in this hotel. It's 3 a.m. I go, they have to be American. They're so fucking rude, right? So like, whatever. The next day we go to the bar. I'm talking to the bartender. And in conversation, I tell him who checked in because we went during the winter and it's a small town. It's called Cork. So we're in Cork. And then I was like, who checked in with the kids? Because I heard them. And he's like, with the what? The bartender. And I'm like, with the kids. They were running, right? And I tell my Jerry. And he's like, yeah, like at 3 a.m. we heard, and it was heavy, like and laughing.
Oh, no.
And I was like, whose kids were up at that time? Like, that's so crazy. They probably got here in a late flight. And the bartender tells me, wait. He calls the guy from the front desk. He's like, tell him what he said. And I'm like, whose kids are they? And he goes, there's nobody here with kids. I go, bullshit. And he's like, look, this hotel used to be a hospital. Then it was a military hospital. And then for a short time, it was an orphanage.
Oh, shit.
He's like, that hallway. But the weird thing is when I was walking to my room, I saw that the hallway changed elevations. So, like, when I walked to my room, the part to get to my room was higher. I can't explain it. So the guy was like, yeah, well, there was a lot of additions done, and that's why sometimes the hallway looks like it's uneven. He's like, but there's no kids here. I can guarantee you everybody meets for breakfast in the morning. He's like, it's you, 5 other couples, no children.
Oh, no.
My husband, who doesn't believe in anything, got, he's already white, Martin. He got fucking pale. He was like, what the fuck? And then he looks at me, he goes, you did this on purpose. You booked this hotel on purpose. And I was like, no way. Like, Trip Masters did it. I don't know. And they were like, there's nobody here. And that has been one of the few times where I've heard an apparition with someone else. But it was so organic that I thought it was, like, I wasn't scared because I was like, oh, it's somebody scared. Bullshit. I wanted to leave that hotel that day, but I couldn't. But I wanted to.
Wow.
That's scary. I would have been scared. I'm a big chicken. I'm a bruja, but I'm a chicken. I was like,
Wow. Holy shit. So then you went, and now when she shared that with you and you said that to her, and then she did this limpia, and then did you feel anything leave you? Did you just like you felt like that?
I did. I felt a lot lighter, and like I said, I felt exhausted after that, and I just kind of slept after that. But I felt like lighter, como más liviano, como más, like a lot of the stuff that I was carrying went away.
Like dissipated.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
How often do you do this limpia maintenance, can I ask? Like an oil change.
Well, I get it more done in my car than me. No, but, now it's probably like once every 2 years. It's not as much as I probably should do.
We're very low maintenance limpia now.
Yeah, it's very low, but sometimes I do feel it. I'm just like, I need to do something, or I need to, because I start to feel a lot of, I start to feel the weight.
And then you drive to Denver.
Then he drives. Knowing him, he drives like 7 states over.
Well, I have been to Lilydale in New York, in upstate New York. Lilydale is a small town. Lilydale.
For Olympia, Armando?
I actually.
He's all, what else, Martin?
Oh my God.
Wait, we said this was a safe space, right?
I feel judged.
Okay, you went to Lilydale.
I went to Lilydale.
I like the name, so I'm in it.
Well, Lilydale, it's a very small town, upstate New York, and that town is very, very, very old, and everybody that lives there is a medium.
Oh.
Yes.
Everybody that lives there?
Everybody that lives there
Chikis,
is.
we're going.
Yeah.
You were in upstate New York, right? Chiki.
You've been there? Oh, you
Oh,
lived
so
near
you know what I'm
there.
talking about. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you go to Lilydale for this specifically because everyone's a medium.
Right. I wanted to
I
experience.
just want to say that I just met you today, but I really like you. Okay.
Yeah, it's
She's taking you to Cuba now.
And
let's go to Cuba.
Birthday trip. Okay,
Okay,
and
birthday
then
trip.
we're going Lilydale. You go.
Entonces, so you can walk around the little town. Now the little town is enclosed, so it's a town within another town.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
It's kind of like you're going to Disneyland. You go to Anaheim and you go to Disneyland.
Okay, got it.
Here you go to this other place. You go to
Lilydale.
Yeah. And you can get readings done if you want. And, like it just depends on where you're walking. And in the middle of the forest, because it's in a forest in upstate New York, there's...
What kind of bruja are you that you haven't heard of Lilydale?
I think I saw a documentary, now that you're talking about it, about this town with a bunch of mediums, and I swear it was this place, but go ahead.
It probably is. And there's in the middle of the I was gonna say the jungle. There's this, ¿cómo se le llama un stump? Like
a tree stump. A tree stump.
Exacto.
Yeah.
And apparently that is the gateway to another dimension.
Okay,
And that is a gateway where people that have passed, or energies from people that have passed, is their gateway to come there. So you go there, like say you go on a Sunday, and
Martin's writing it down.
I'm alright. I'm gonna look it up.
yeah, look it up. And now,
Martin.
see, and then and there's just mediums, and you sit, como que estás en un servicio, like you're at a Sunday service or
okay.
whatever, and then the mediums, they'll be like, oh, can I talk to you?
Oh shit.
And then if you say yes, of course, then they'll start telling you stories.
How much do they charge you? Out of curiosity, just out of curiosity.
You know
I just
what?
want to know.
I don't remember. I think maybe to get into the little town.
Because they have to charge you to get in, right?
To the
preserve
town. But when you go to that service, there's a bunch
of people, I guess, whatever you want to donate to
Yeah.
them after
Donations,
they
I
talk
would
to you.
imagine. Yeah.
donations, or then if you want to specifically go to one of their homes and
Have a reading.
like with an appointment and stuff like that, because when you're at the service, they may or may not call on you.
Yeah, whatever they feel is what's going to happen.
Entonces, yeah, so then they call on you, and it's pretty interesting when you see people, they're telling people their stories, or such and such person wants to tell you this, or
Armando, how many people are there at any given time?
As mediums or
as visitors?
As visitors, I don't know. I mean, I want to say maybe like in the times that I've been there to this specific ceremony or service, I want to say like 30 to 40 people.
And the service is a scheduled time. It's not just randomly popping
Right.
up.
It's a scheduled time. From what I remember. Now, I haven't been there in, many years. But
He's like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So then you've been there multiple times, not just once.
I've been there like 3 or 4 times. And one time I went there with this lady. Now, this lady is fascinating. And I went with her, and she already had like she could see things and stuff. And we're walking, and she's like, there's a little girl looking out of that window. And I'm looking, and there's nobody there that I can see.
That you can see,
But she could see that there was a little girl. Wow. Now, these buildings, I'm telling you, are super old buildings, and it's always been that.
I still want to go here now.
Now, do you go by yourself when you go to these places, or do you take somebody?
No, when I've been with other people.
Okay, so it's like a group activity.
Yeah,
it's like a brujeria field trip.
It's like a brujeria field trip, and then there's you can stay. They have a hotel there, which is supposed to be haunted.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and just the hotel itself looks.
Legit. Looks legit.
No, it's very legit.
I feel like all those old towns, though, have something like when I was in West Virginia, I told Martin I went to a place called Hinton. Well, the guy who popularized Wicca did it while he was living in West Virginia. He was English, but he was living in West Virginia when he came up with Wicca, right? And I remember I went to this little town called Hinton, like it was tiny. And we walked into like all these old buildings with my mom because we were going to like different thrift stores and trying, And I remember that we went into one building and I was like, I have a headache. All these buildings are so old and they haven't been because, like in the Appalachians and all that, they don't have any money. Like, it's really sad. Like you think you're in a third world, but you're really just in West Virginia. But they have like so much history that you can feel like even when they remodeled to do restaurants and stuff, you could feel it. Like in New Orleans, when you go to New Orleans,
yes,
it's heavy. Some places feel really heavy in New Orleans.
Oh, dude, like when you go to the voodoo section of town, you feel that. You feel it in the air. You feel the magic in the air.
Yeah, or when you go like like when you go to Europe, and I feel this with a lot of European countries because the church and then the cemetery is right outside. Whenever I go to Europe, I'm always so careful not to bring anything home spiritually because I feel like it's so open. Does that make sense? Like it's so, and then like
that it can attach it. That energy can attach
itself. Yeah, that it's gonna like attach itself,
right.
kind of. Even in Cuba, they have the biggest cemetery in Cuba is called the Santeria de Colón. It's been there years and years and years. It's beautiful, and I love it. But I'm so like careful, right? Like, it feels like so crazy here. Like
How do you protect yourself?
We have different things. I have a collar that I wear that goes across this way. It's called a collar de bandera, so things don't attach themselves to me. We also believe a lot in putting like a piece of cotton on your belly button. Don't ask me why the bell. It has something to do with the connection to the umbilical cord spiritually.
Okay.
We do it when we walk out of any cemetery. We clean ourselves. We clean ourselves right away. Like with my son, when I take my son with me and we go to different cemeteries, we clean ourselves. We leave 9 pennies for Oya, so we leave her an offering. We're like, take the pennies. I don't want to take anybody with me.
Wow,
But that
okay.
place sounds fat. So you like brujeria? You're in this to win it. Like you're traveling to New York. You're in New Mexico. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that for me, it's fascinating, and it's something that I've been connected with since a kid.
Do you consider yourself a brujo?
No, I don't, because I mean, I don't. No, I don't.
Do
Not,
You
not
could
because-
definitely play one on TV.
Yeah.
Really?
You'd
Do
kill
you
it.
consider yourself a brujo?
You know, I think I kind of do.
Chiki, is he a brujo? Oh,
Oh, dang.
the internet does not lie.
Do me a favor.
I don't think
Google him. And Guatemala.
I don't think I put
Martin
brujo
Moreno.
yet. I don't think I put brujo yet. I
His
think I put guru.
Wikipedia needs to be updated.
I think it says guru. I don't it doesn't say brujo, but I think I'm gonna add brujo.
Oh my. There you go. That's
Yeah.
enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never thought about it, honestly, like about myself, is if I am or not. I just know that I'm very sensitive to things and to feeling things and hearing things. Yeah, like I have that connection somehow.
That spiritual connection.
I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
I think that's we call it an herencia espiritual, like a spiritual inheritance.
Which like I said, if your grandmother was
I feel like
that
that's a
tapped in,
spiritual-
she learned it from somewhere. So who knows where she learned it from? But that passes on, and that's again in your DNA, bro. I mean,
Yeah, and that's like
and that's why you're probably finding and tapping into all these different things. It's because it's already there. It's just you opening it up and rediscovering it. You know?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But Armando, I gotta say, every time we talk, my friend, I am absolutely. You don't cease to amaze me. You are, and I mean that in a very good way. I mean that in the highest compliment. You don't cease to amaze me. Just when I think I get to know you. We don't hang out as much as we should. I mean, obviously the pandemic had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
But I love your energy. I love hanging
Gracias.
out with you, and thank you very much for sharing these stories. I had no idea.
They're awesome.
Yes,
Thank
that was
you.
They're
awesome.
super awesome.
So thank you for sharing these stories and for coming on the podcast. Where can people find you? What do you got going on right now? Is there anything that you want to say? That
He's like, I'll be reading at Lilladale.
I'm estoy dando masajes.
my profile, Armando.
I'm gonna change my profiles. and,
Armando Masaje.
Armando masajes.
Armando Masaje.
Well, you know, right now what I'm working on is I'm doing a web series. I'm one of the regulars that comes back for Darman, and so
Chiki is a big fan.
Oh, well, thank you for watching Darman. Yeah, and so yeah, that's what I've been. That's what's kept me busy. And then you know, I'm reading for a couple other projects right now. Nothing's confirmed yet. Maybe a show in San Francisco, but you know, that's just still in the process.
Sure.
So hopefully, but yeah, but for right now, I think a new Darman episode aired today, and then I've got a couple other ones coming out. So yeah, and then
Felicidades.
gracias.
Felicidades.
Should I do this? Oh, here it is. I because you guys I wanted to bring you guys a little gift.
That's so nice.
This
of you.
is este es para ti y este es
Oh,
para ti.
thank you.
And this is a very good friend of mine,
cool.
Sue, is an artist.
Oh my God,
that.
this is
I
awesome.
love this.
Yeah, and she painted that.
Oh, gracias. I love the ears. They're so cute.
Yeah.
She painted that.
Mm-hmm.
That is
yeah.
amazing. Look at that. So
Sue.
cute. I love it.
Shout out to Sue.
Thank you. I love Catrines. I love
Oh my
that.
gosh.
I love Catrines.
Yeah, well, she's
Thank
amazing,
you.
and she's also an amazing tattoo
They're
artist.
beautiful.
And this is the evil eye.
That's the evil
He gave
eye.
me the evil eye.
And she made this especially for you guys.
Oh,
especially
gracias.
the bracelet has got the what do you call it, that that sound message?
I don't know.
You have to
Ask
open it.
Thanya. She's the bruja.
I don't know what's coming, but I'm in it. What is it? I don't know, but what is it?
You know when they used to tap to send messages? And
The Morse code.
yes, honey.
What?
Yes.
And she puts the beads in Morse code.
Yes.
That is awesome. I've seen that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
So that's.
And
This
look
is
at these earrings. They're
awesome.
So
hamsters. That's so nice of you. Thank you.
you're very welcome.
I love
Muchísimas
that. I love
gracias,
that.
Armando.
No, gracias a
Brother,
ustedes.
like
Gracias.
seriously.
It was a
Gracias.
pleasure. Let's go
Thank
to
you.
Lilydale.
Let's go to Lilydale and then Cuba. Thank you guys
Chiki wants to go.
for tuning in to another episode of Brujo 101. Share us with your friends. Hit us with the rate and review. They really, really help. Let us know what you're, if you're enjoying it. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know who you want us to bring on here and what topics to cover. I had no idea that there was spiritual surgeries. Which is fascinating. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down so many rabbit holes, and on the next episode, maybe it'll be me and Thanya, and we'll just come
We're
in here
gonna
and
do a
catch
spiritual
up.
surgery.
We'll do a
Chiquis,
spiritual
get on the
surgery. Get that belly button,
She's
girl.
like, I'm just gonna keep Googling.
So again, thank you guys so much for the support. Much love, many blessings.
Thank
and
you.
Satarakata Shanda.
Thank you.